Okay. Hi there,
Here we go.
everybody. It's Mocha Mommy here. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes for some of you ladies to come into the chat. Okay, hi. Okay, so today we have a special guest, and we're going to be talking a lot about gratitude. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Vin Lay, and I live out of Chicago. Sorry, I'm gonna fix this camera a little bit. Out of Chicago, I got a pretty big family. I got about two brothers and three sisters. I love to travel. I've been around the world during my Peace
Mm-hmm.
Corps service in Mongolia for about 3 years. I lived in Japan, and I find that traveling allows you to really experience different cultures and meet with different people and come down together on the table and share a meal together and share stories. I think it's important that because traveling brings us together. So that's definitely on my list.
Uh-huh.
I have a bunch of hobbies, Denise. I actually play guitar. Yeah, I find that music is a good way for me to express and be creative in the process to write my own songs and things like that. And again, I find that cultivating positivity is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think positivity and gratitude, right? The season of gratitude is big because it puts us in a mental space, an area where we can be able to create a lot of things that could be beneficial to us in terms of the feel
Mm-hmm.
good, the gratitude, as well as for other people as well. So I'm a firm believer in being positive and gratitude. And I want
Right.
to put a plug on positivity though. The plug
Mm-hmm.
with positivity, real quick, right off the bat, is that a lot of people think that being positive all the time, being grateful all the time, is in a sense not being realistic, right? Some people think like
Mm.
that. Oh, Ben, you're too positive. That doesn't make sense. But actually, my definition of positive or gratitude is you account, you be realistic, you account for what's going on, the situation you're in, and put yourself then in a very uncomfortable space to make a difference, to be positive and
Right.
make a difference, to call in more opportunities. Because when you're negative, you won't be able to see the opportunities that come towards you. But when you're
Mm-hmm.
positive, the opportunities are a bit more seeable. And then you can start to find out and make the best choice for yourself. Because a lot of times I find that people get stuck in providing the same solution to the same problem, expecting a different
Mm-hmm.
result all the time,
Mm.
and it never really happens that way. So by being positive gives you more opportunities. Doesn't guarantee you, but it gives you more opportunities. Sorry,
That's true.
I diverted away from my introduction, but hopefully folks get a sense of who I
Uh-huh.
am.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think kind of reminds me a little bit of that Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man. Did you remember? Did you ever see that movie?
Was it Yes Man? I think I may have seen that. Yeah, he's in a suit all the time. He has to say yes to every. There was like some sort of spell. He has to say yes to every request, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it just goes to show you, like, just by kind of opening himself up to these crazy things, he met all these incredible people and was able to kind of have an impact. Right. I think the
That's
best
right.
scene for me in that movie was the one with the guitar ledge.
Oh, was it?
Watch that movie. Watch that movie again. And oh
I gotta
god,
watch
it
it
was
again.
amazing.
He was a lawyer,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
it's super
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. It's coming back,
No,
and
he
it
was
got
a
me thinking.
banker.
Oh, he was a banker. Oh,
Yeah, he was a banker, and he approved everybody's loan, and people bought crazy stuff. You have to
because
see
he
that
kept
movie.
saying yes to all the loans.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
yeah. It's a funny. Yeah, definitely check that out. You have to see that.
I
It's
definitely
super
will.
funny.
I definitely will.
But so tell us what inspired you to be like a YouTuber. What inspired you to kind of bring your message to this platform?
Good question. Good question. See, so I have a YouTube channel called PositiveLeo. I'm a Leo, and I use that channel as a way to share things that I find positive, things that make me smile, in hopes that makes you smile. And it was during a time when COVID was taking its storm, March coming through. I think I started back in July, August, when
Mm-hmm.
things were kind of shutting down and folks have to stay home, quarantine, and a lot of things. And so I wanted that channel to be a way for me not only to be creative, not only to bring smiles to people, but also to hear people's stories. So I did interviews to find out what people out there are doing to cultivate a space of gratitude and positivity that I may not know of or you may not know of. And I found some interesting people where I think one person found positivity through fitness. That put her in a
Hmm.
space where she can cultivate positive, good energy. Another person I've met um, uh, found different ways to address anxiety, being positive, mindfulness, meditation, breath work. Anxiety is a big thing. I think a lot of us
Hmm.
go through that, right? It's the next level. Stress is here, right? Anxiety is that next
Hmm.
level that can take you,
Yes.
to another space that not many people want to be in, right? Because
Hmm.
it's a very paralyzing state. And so, yeah, that's how I started the channel, and it's going pretty strong, and it's growing in some sense. And really, if I get one person to view or two, if I can change one person and put a smile on one person, I'm good. It's not all about subscribers. It's not all about views for me, because I have family watching it. I have friends watching it. They
Right.
give me comments. They call me after, Vin, that was great, or Vin, I got a question on this one. And
Yeah.
I wanted to keep that connection going because right now, as you know, a lot of things virtual, a lot of things online,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
so it's the way to connect. So give me 1 second. Is that okay? I'll be right back in
Yeah,
20 seconds.
absolutely.
Promise.
Sure.
Yep.
So, ladies, I'm interviewing the Positive Leo, who has a YouTube channel. What he does is he will relay good news content. He speaks multiple languages and also plays instruments where he will sing songs from different cultures. So I'm going to ask him about that. So now, a huge part of your content is, you sing in a lot of different languages. And are these original songs that you've heard through your travels? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So let's start off by saying that I love languages. My
Hmm.
mother's
Hmm.
tongue is Vietnamese, so it's been a
Okay.
life's journey to learn that, to understand that, and really keep the culture going. I lived in Mongolia, as I said, through Peace Corps. I learned Mongolian, and I lived in Japan, so I studied Japanese, and actually in high school as well, I studied Japanese. But I find that, not only I mentioned I like music, play guitar, but I
Hmm.
find that learning other languages, singing the languages, not only helps my pronunciation along the way, but it allows me to enter another world in terms of music. Because I find that every country, they express music in a very different way, whether it's through Vietnamese or whether it's through Mongolian or Japanese. And that's my way to not only express myself and be creative with it, but it allows me to be invited. This is going to sound interesting, but
Hmm.
through music, and learning different languages and combining the two, I was invited to so many house parties and learned
Okay.
so much more about the language. Yeah, ¿Cómo estás? Genki desu ka? Man khỏe không? I mean, ni hao ma, right? It starts
Hmm.
there. And whether I tie it with music or not, it shows respect to other cultures. It shows that this person, this guy, he's trying to learn a song, not in his native
Hmm.
tongue, and he is trying to, in some sense, show respect to the other culture.
Right.
And I find that, Denise, sometimes we need to bond more. The idea of diversity is great. The idea of diversity is beautiful, right? We live in that difference, diversity. Everyone's different cultures, but the inclusiveness needs to start from that same root, that we're all the same. We're all the same. We come from the same. We all, love. We all can cry. We all have mothers and fathers, right? And so
Right.
I want to build that bridge. And sometimes I find that music connects with people, number one. Two, in a different language. I'm tying the two together and I want to build that bridge so I can connect with another culture. I can't speak Mongolian to the best of my ability. I can't speak Japanese to the best of my abilities. I'm trying. And I feel like the listeners, when they hear it, it's like, this dude's trying. Mad respects. This dude's trying. And from there, I
Right.
get comments, I get hellos, I get, come to my house for some sushi, man. Come to my house for some Mongolian dumplings, man. Come on. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So, and then from there, I hear their stories. They share mine. There's more in common than we know. And I'm always down to sit and have a conversation. I think that's where bonds happen. That's where the connections happen. That's where humanity begins. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So, a lot of my subscribers are between the ages of 18 to 24, and they're really on a new journey in life. Some of them are away at college for the first time, are
Right on.
starting jobs for the first time. What are some of the ways that you have find that's kind of help people going into a different environment or meeting new people for the first time? What are some
Mm.
of the ways that you found to just kind of bond with people and just create connection? I mean, because you've gone to whole other countries
True
having
that.
bridged those gaps. So tell me a little bit about what you've done.
Let's start with Mongolia. And then we can jump to Japan and other countries. So I went there for my Peace Corps service, 2012 to 2015. And I remember it's a very cold country, by the way, temperature wise, sometimes to -40, -30. I lived in a tent. I had to burn they use dry dung. Dry dung is cheaper than wood, and wood is cheaper than coal. So you kind of see how that goes, right? You got more money, you buy some coal. You got a little bit less, you buy a little bit of wood, and you get dung, and it was super cold out there. And I just remember learning the language for 3 months. That was part of the program. Learn it for 3 months with a teacher and something. And then they assigned me in a village. And they put me in that village. No one knew me. I knew nobody. And I try to speak Mongolian. And I'm pretty much sure they don't speak English. Maybe hello or thank you. That's it. And I was, it was in a very difficult spot because I'm trying to help the people. But I'm also trying to understand their language and culture at the same time. So everything's moving hyper speed. We got projects and things are going. And I still remember this. I remember it was so cold, as I mentioned, and I was trying to make fire and all that. And I got so sick to the point where I was coughing out blood. It was that cold. I had a fever. It was a lot of stuff. And I remember the most respectful lady in the village. She was the director of the school that I worked at in the village. She came to my tent, or they call it gir in Mongolian, and she rolled up her sleeve. She cleaned my tent. And then I was opening my eyes, like I thought mom was here. I thought my mom was there because I was so sick. I was something along those lines. And she was cleaning my tent. She was cooking food for me. This is the most respectful lady in the town. She treated me as if I was her son. And from there, it doesn't matter if I didn't understand the language or I didn't understand the culture, whatever it is, someone is saving my life. That person right there, who we may be from different walks of life, different culture, all that kind of stuff, but she's saving my life. And from that common bond that I've cultivated, from seeing that, I just learned that the human connection is the same. Whether someone looks different on your travels in a different environment, we're all the same in many sense. And so if you look at everyone as if they're your family, that's a big one. Changing that perspective, changing that mindset to look at everyone as you're my brother, you're my sister. Once you flip that mindset, though it may be uncomfortable because society says that, no, that's a stranger. And what do TV say? Don't talk to strangers, right? Growing up.
Right.
But if you flip that mindset, you begin to find out that there's more in common than not. Even if you don't speak the language, even if you don't know the person.
Right.
Scientists have said that communication is 70% nonverbal. You feel me? Check it out. Google it. I'm not making this up. Yeah.
Right.
And I'll add to it. Yeah. Let me jump over to Japan now. You get the previous story. But another story I want to add to that. I remember, this is a big one. We all have best friends in some sense, right? My BFFs, he's my best friend. Da, da, da. And I had a best friend in Japan. And I remember we were going out to the beaches with some friends. And I couldn't swim. I really couldn't swim. And so I tried to swim. And I remember going out to the 5-foot water. I'm only about 5'7", 5'8". And I was holding on to Chai, saying, "Hey, Chai, I can't swim, brother. I can't swim." And I told him I can't swim. And I held on to him. And I was yelling in his ear, "I can't swim. I can't swim." But for whatever reason, he pushed me off. And when he pushed me off, I
Right.
started to drown. And I remember looking to the side of my eye. This guy came and saved my life. Now, have y'all ever had friends who you would say the hi and bye friends? You guys, y'all
Yeah.
ever have that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Mm-hmm.
John, bye,
Acquaintances.
John.
Yeah.
Acquaintances, we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the person that saved my life was an acquaintance. My best friend left me, and so the biggest lesson that day in life is that we got to treat everyone with kindness, everyone with love and peace. You don't know who's going to help you. You don't know who's going to have an impact in your life. Treat everyone, in a sense, the same with love and kindness. Because a lot of times I find that we are very selective. Oh, this person is my BFF. This is it. This is it. You know, but what about the other person? What about people you see every day? What about your family? What about, everyone? So, all in all, give everyone a shot. Say hi to everyone. Be kind with everyone. Similar to the topic today, be grateful, have gratitude, positivity in front, and let the rest work its magic. So, give me 1 second. Let me close this
Yeah.
door real quick.
Get your phone. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. So, our guest Vin is explaining to us about how he's able to create a positive YouTube channel. Going to talk about some of his travels and his hobbies, and just what can inspire gratitude, because he's definitely had a really great life story, and he's had some interesting hardships that he's overcome. So, can you share with us? You had this drowning incident. Can you share with us some of the other
Sure.
like experiences that where you've overcome hardships and what you
Wow.
learned from those, really difficult lessons?
Wow. Sure. I'll add. Let's jump back to Mongolia. Um, so in Mongolia, I was a teacher. And well, let me share, I guess, two stories, if I may. Is the first story
Definitely.
is I was a teacher. Thank you, Denise. I was a teacher, and I remember teaching in class. And as a teacher, you have some students who just they say, "I don't want to learn," and I'm good. And they sit in the back, and I would ask them, why do you want to learn what I'm teaching? They said, "Well, I'm going to be a herder, so I don't think I'll need to learn this or whatever you're teaching, and I'm just going to goof off." And I try to put more games into it. I try to change the whole atmosphere up and make it more fun. But no matter, like, once you lose curiosity, you lose it, and that's it. So the kids just sit in the back, they goof off,
Hmm.
while all the other kids are sitting in the front to learn, right? And then I remember going to my Mongolian sister's home, and we were having dinner, and I don't know where the TV turns on. It says "Universe Best Song." Come and join and inspire the next generation. That's the equivalent of American Idol or The Voice, or.
Oh, okay, okay. So it was a
Yeah,
contest.
it was a contest. That's right. And so I was like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. So I called my friend in the capital, Ulaanbaatar. I said, hey, can you help set me up? And she's like, yeah, we'll get you in, or something along those lines. And she did the application for me and applied, and I got in, and I started singing, and I made it to I think I don't know, the fourth round or something like that. I just remember they holding a microphone to my mouth saying, then what do you want to tell the people in your village? I said, hey, this goes out to all the kids. Believe in yourself. Basically watch me. Believe in yourself. If I can do it, you can do it. That kind of thing. And so I went on stage and I sang entirely in Mongolian. I was
Wow.
singing in their language. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put the effort in. I'm going to learn this language. I'm going to do it. And in front of like 4 or 5, there was like a bunch of cameras at me. There was like 9 judges, and lights were shooting everywhere. And I was one of the last performers, right? So the judges are tired. They want to go home too. And I had to go in there and pump it up. And I did. I jumped in there. I got off stage, high-fived people, ran into the camera, did a little Mick Jagger, like, what's up? And I was as hell. I'll show you the video one of these days. But the proudest moment through that challenge when I got home. So that was just something I wanted to do to inspire. When I got home, I was looking for the kids who were saying like they were goofing off and all that. I was looking in the back. I couldn't find them. Because you know what? They were all squeezing to the front to learn. And I had my teacher moment. That was my moment. That was it. I was tearing up in class. That was like the proudest moment I had. Like I did something. I
Wow.
planted a seed in this kid, and they're growing. It's growing. So that's one. The other story that I thought in terms of difficulties and to get over it, it's a bit touchy, is that I remember there was a festival going on at the school, and they were dressing up like Genghis Khan and doing the play and all that. Actually, it's not Genghis, it's Chinggis Khan. So if you ever see a Mongolian
Interesting.
person,
Okay. So yeah,
Chinggis.
all right. All
Yeah, if you
right.
say Genghis, they'd be like, "Who's Genghis?" And so Chinggis Khan,
Chinggis Khan. Okay.
Chinghis, something along those lines. And they were doing the play and everything. Everyone's having fun. School was off that day. I noticed a car parked in front of the school, and he was talking to one of my teacher friends. I was like, cool, you know. And then I was going to walk in to see the play, and the guy in the car calls me over, like, "Hey, young man, come over here." I was like, okay, because I feel like this is my town. You know, I know everybody. Everyone knows me. I feel super comfortable. I got over. I leaned into the car. I said, "Come on in." I said, okay. And I sat into the car, and the first thing I sat into the car, I noticed is swastika signs all over the place.
Whoa, in Mongolia.
Yeah, right off the bat in Mongolia. You know, Nazi movement. There's something going on there. I don't know the full story, but there's something going on there. Now, yeah. And I was talking to the guy. He's like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just here I'm a teacher. I'm helping out here and Peace Corps volunteer." And then he said, "I got a gun and I can shoot you right now." And I'm like, "Oh," and I keep reiterating, "I'm a teacher. I'm just here to do good," you know. But I was tightening up, you know. I was like, "Okay, all right."
Of course.
In a long time, I haven't, do my thing in a long time. So, are we gonna dance or something? And before I knew it, he was choking me out, and he would start choking me, and I was like, "Uh oh," because I knew if I start to fight, this guy's pretty big, that my service could end right here and then, right?
Right.
And before I knew it, my student out of nowhere walked up to him and said, "Uncle, what are you doing?" Basically disengaging him. And the guy looked over, and on the right side, his buddy ran like full speed. A bunch of people came out of school. His buddy ran out, like tapped his arm off, like pushed his arm off, took me out of the car and just said, "Go, go, 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 go." Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like surprised. I was flabbergasted. I was like, "What's going on? Like, did I do something wrong? Did I say something?" I was trying to figure out the whole thing. When you're in a different country, right? Different language. Did I offend the guy? Did I say something? I don't know. And I was thinking about it. So I called up Peace Corps. I said, "Hey, what should I do?" They kept saying, "Just walk away. You see the guy, just stay the other way. Just don't engage. Don't engage." Huh. Yeah, it was just sort of like, because they were in the capital. I was in the village. It takes 10 hours to get to where I am,
Right. So, okay.
Right. And it's a bit of a distance. And so they just said, disengage. And so I was out, I stayed away. And I remember a couple of days later, walking home, right, on the path I typically take. And there goes the brother again. He sits there in his truck, doors wide open, clipping his toenails. This is in the countryside, y'all. This is in the countryside. Chilling, doing his thing. And I'm like, okay. Right, it's in the countryside, right? It's a small village, folks just doing their thing, clipping toenails, hanging out, chilling, whatever. And I'm cool with that. And then it was right there, pretty much right at the road I walk home. And I'm like, okay, disengage, walk away, disengage, walk away. But for whatever reason, my heart started pulling me to walk to the grocery store right there. And I walked in. I got my favorite Russian candy. I love it. Russian candies are great. There's some sweetness, there's caramel, all kinds of cool stuff. So I bought some of that. And I don't know, for whatever reason, my heart was telling me, like, then, just do the right thing, be cool, be kind. That's the only way, right? It can't get worse. And I, instead of walking home and disengage, I walked straight up to the guy. For whatever reason, my heart was beating. Well, I was beating, Denise. But I felt this is the right thing. I listened to my heart. And so I walked straight up to the guy and said, "Uncle," he was a bit older than me, probably in his 40s or 50s or something. Probably 40s, yeah. I said, "Hey, here's some candy," with the biggest smile I could give, right? All that positive energy. Hey, I tried to block his negative vibe and then gave him some candy. He looked at me just super surprised. Like, "I tried to kill you yesterday, dude. What are you doing?" And then I just kind of walked away. And then I walked home. That was that. A couple of days later, I received a knock on the door. And it was like 9, 10 or whatever time at home at night. And I opened the door. It was my other neighbor buddy. I was like, "Okay, cool. Hey, how you doing, man?" and right behind him was the guy who choked me out. So that guy came through. I was like, these guys drinking now. He's gathering his buddies. Are we gonna go down now? Like, what's going on? And the guy came in. Now, I think it's in Mongolian culture or maybe in Asian culture in general. I'm not sure, but typically the elder folks really don't apologize to the younger folks. Typically, it's the younger folks apologizing, more of a respect your elders kind of thing. But he came into my gear and then he apologized. He just said, "I am so sorry. I did not know you were here to help the people out." Because I think he came back from travels or somewhere, and he thought that me, a foreigner in the town, trying to take advantage of his people. You know what I mean? And he apologized. He sat down. He poured me some beer. I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then he showed me magic tricks for 2 hours, and and he became a supporter of me because in terms of me singing. After that show, I was singing a lot at almost every party. Like, "Man, go on stage and sing a song for us like you did on that show." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So,
you sure have to show you some video.
Oh yeah, I definitely will. If we have time today, I can show a little bit. I can stream or put the link in there. But I guess the more of the story, I guess, to bring it back is, if you treat people with kindness, if you follow your heart, you really listen inside. Sometimes, and the mind is smart. It always try to figure out what's right, what's wrong, and it leans a little bit on the negative side sometimes. But if you follow your heart and you do the kind thing, the positive thing, the grateful thing, a lot of times there's good things that can come out of it. And not to say that everyone should just walk up to someone who try to kill them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just give your heart a chance. And sometimes when the opportunity presents itself, take it, because I find that there's a lot of good people out there, and sometimes they are masked or covered by something else they experienced through fear, doubts. Because the guy was afraid that I was doing something to his village or something along those lines, that he acted out of that. And so after all of that, I didn't hold it against him anymore. By letting that go, by forgiving, by loving more, it was great. So anyways, that was the story, how I overcame two of the biggest challenge in my life, being a good teacher and being a kind person.
Wow. Yeah. Because I mean, I know, like, believe it or not, the place that I learned the most about conflict resolution and like good communication was when I went and got my concealed handgun license, because they're constantly teaching you techniques to de-escalate so you don't have to deploy your weapon. Right. And I can honestly say that probably was one of the best lessons I've ever had, was learning how to just kind of like, de-escalate and deflect conflict. So yeah, it was, wow. I think that is just as much of a skill as maybe even learning to fight, to be able to kind of de-escalate conflict. So yeah, I think that's a really good and important lesson, because I think sometimes when there's a fight, we always think win or loser, when in reality, sometimes they're both losers, especially if you have to especially if you have to stay there, right? So what if you would have had to stay in this village for how many more months, and now you have an enemy, as opposed to, now, even though I wouldn't suggest that particular tactic for some people as far as safety, but I can definitely see how de-escalating could definitely benefit you.
Agreed.
So, I mean, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, since being a content creator, since your channel's pretty new? What are some of the things that you've learned by having a YouTube channel and engaging with your audience?
Right on. Before we jump right into that, I just want to jump back 2 steps and just speak a little bit to what you brought up. I find this is just my idea, and I've been thinking about it. I wonder if we can, in many ways, look at our educational system. If there's a way to introduce home economics, life skills, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to be joyful, how to be all that kind of stuff in school. Can you imagine that already in itself produces a future generation where we might not resort to violence to resolve a conflict? You know what I mean? So I wonder what steps can we take way early in education that can make it happen. Because right now in education, we're focusing on test scores. We're focusing on a lot of things that money, and because schools need high test scores to generate more revenue. And when kids come out, I find, I try to talk to some kids, and sometimes communication is an issue, or they don't know how to, express themselves in a way where that's kind and all that. So I just want to add that flavor, that we need more investment in education, but on the life side, on being a proper person, being kind, being loving, all the good stuff in the dictionary. You know what I mean? But to jump over to the question you asked now, in terms of YouTube content, can you ask that one more time? Sorry, I was just thinking more on
So
the
what
other
have you
side.
learned from being a content creator and engaging with your audience? Because sometimes you say that they're people you know, and then sometimes they're strangers. What have you learned from being a content creator?
I've learned that it's a good question. I learned there's a lot of good stuff when we collaborate, just like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
learned that there's a lot of communities out there, and I learned there's a lot of commonalities between. YouTube is a great platform that you can find a lot of content, different kinds of content, and I've really learned to cultivate YouTube into a tool that I use to remind people that they're great, that within them there's positivity, within them there's greatness and things to bring out and share. And I've learned to better communicate with some of my audience, where some folks reach out to me and talk to me, and I
Mhm.
talk back and I hear their stories. I remember I did a video on shaving my head and how I started when I was young to now, and folks, it's like, Vin, you've changed my life, or Vin, you gave me ideas I've never knew, and thank you for sharing your story. And I was like, of course. And making a little difference, in people's lives. I thought that was big. I never thought that, I'll get to the point where I'll make a big difference in someone's life. You think so, like when I create, I was like, I want to, but then when it actually happens, someone calls you up and says, Vin, thank you so much. You did something. I was like taken back. And then I start to invest more time to it, seeing that there's a lot of potential to impact lives. And I know on YouTube, there's, entertainment. There's a lot of things to watch for fun and things, but I wanted to take that and not only put a fun element in all my music, singing and all that kind of stuff, but also put a human element in there too. And yeah, that's what I've learned. Thank you.
Wow. I could
Oh, pretty
say like one of the
unicorn.
biggest things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a great
Sorry,
content
Myra
creator.
liked the video.
Yeah, she definitely is. Yeah. I'm happy. But I love her content. But she had a bigger platform than me. And when I was just starting, she kind of helped me grow my platform. So I'm really grateful for that. But I
Helping
think
each
the
other.
thing I've learned the most is how smart some of these younger people are. Like how incredibly intelligent they are, how incredibly grateful I am for the lessons that they've taught me. Because, if you have a YouTube channel where most of the subscribers are half your age, um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Wow.
they've taught me so much. Like, and I wanted to do like a career channel, like a career focused playlist, right? That
Mhm.
just talks about STEM careers where African American women are so underrepresented, just how we can help each other. And I was getting all of these questions from these engineering majors and from
Wow.
these biology majors, and I'm thinking to
Wow.
myself, like, I have no idea. You know,
Wow.
being in nursing, I have no idea. And how many, when I put out the call, how many,
Mm.
even though this is a field where we're incredibly underrepresented, how many engineering students and Black women engineers volunteered to help me through that?
Mm. Mm.
Like, how many? I mean, and I'm talking about like one of the youngest like civil engineers to handle a municipal project. I didn't know it was a Black woman, but she had come to the
Mm.
channel and had talked about her experiences as a civil engineer, what
Wow.
school was like. I mean, another young lady who was in like robotics competitions had come and talked about her experience.
Wow.
Someone who was in like finance, IT finance. She had come and talked about her experience. And my spouse was like, did you get her resume? You know, did you get her resume? Because we're looking, to hire people in
There you
sales
go.
and manage. So it was really interesting, like how many women like stepped up to help each other. And actually one guy had actually stepped up to kind of help talk some of the young ladies who was a recent graduate, had come to talk to some of the young ladies about how to get into a field again that's kind of struggling to find people right now, struggling to find. It's a growing field, but it's something where the employment pool is just shrinking. So he just kind of shared his experience with recruiting, retention, and his future goals, and how he could help other people. And I was like, wow, how many people help each other? But like recently, I'm starting to realize how much there is a need for, like when we talked about anxiety and mental health content. And I think if you went to school in the 90s, mental health was not a subject we learned about. It wasn't. And so, I mean, I'm seeing that there are other content creators who have like you talked about with meditation, eating well, exercising.
That's right.
One of the content creators who is here in the chat right now, she had done like techniques for small talk and for,
Awesome.
overcoming shyness. Just like little things that people are willing to do to help each other. And so I think that's what's so important about your platform. Just because of your willingness to want to help people who probably may not necessarily know how to ask for it. And I think it's an important part of mental health to have a good, positive social media feed. So what are some of the things that you watch, content creators you watch, and people you follow, so that you're getting positive stories in?
Awesome. Good question. Let me see. I remember because there was a time on my YouTube channel where I was doing positive news. And before PositiveLeo, the name was Positive News with You. And I reached out to a lot of like positive news outlets. And I remember only one responded, and it was Sunny Sky News. And it's kind of cool. You can type in Sunny Sky News, and I click on, and they said, hey, feel free to use our content. Go for it. And I said, okay. And I went in there and I just start using their content, sharing what they provided. And a lot of the stories they provide, it's amazing. There's different categories, some really inspiring stories. So I remember one story where this couple was getting married. They were on vacation somewhere in England, I forgot where. And they had this long vacation. He proposed. He said yes. They were out on a boat, and then the boat rocked. You know how the boat rocks, and then boom, the ring, probably over $10,000 or so, went right into the lake.
Wow.
And, he was like, "Oh my God!" So he jumped into it, trying to find it. But what can you do? It's in the lake. And so they went back to the hotel. He was going to get his like clothes wear or whatever to go back and try to find it. And there was a diving school. He called them up, and this one person showed up and went to the area where the pool, the ring, and found it. And that was a huge lake. So for him to be able to make that happen was such luck on his side. But what a positive story. Sunny Sky News. Yeah, something along those lines.
Wow.
You can type
that is
in.
A positive story.
Yeah. And it was just amazing. So these stories, when you hear it, it just puts you in a different zone, and it makes you feel hopeful. It makes you feel there's good people out there. And just as addicting as stress is, positivity, love, and joy is just as addicting. But if we cultivate more of that and make that into a habit of looking at good news, going online, you simply can go on Google or whatever and say positive news. Tons. If you look for it, you'll find it. So I think any big suggestions for me is become a seeker. Seek the good things that make you feel good. Keep seeking it. When you keep seeking it, it'll show up in one form or another. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'll leave it be, because I think everyone should. I could say Sunny Sky News. I could say a lot of things, but I think where you find that impacts you, I'll leave it to you. Each person will find what works for them through their own channel. And when you're looking for good stuff will show around. When you're looking for bad stuff will show around too. So, you found it. There you go. Over the unicorn. Good job. Fast. Back to you, Denise.
So what are some of the things that because I feel like that demographic gets pretty much
Law of attraction, sorry. Mhm.
bombarded with celebrity gossip or
Mm,
consumerism.
mm.
Um, what do you wish you had learned at those young ages, like those young adult ages? What are some of the lessons that you wish you would have learned that you know now that you would
Mm.
tell your younger self?
Oh, wow. I'm 34 now. So we go back
You're
in
still a
time.
baby.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I go back in time and back my high school days and certain, college days and all that, um, it's gonna sound cliche, but the idea for me now is cultivating the idea of being present more and letting go more. And when I say be present, what I mean by that is like you let go of the worries of the future. And I think some people label that as anxiety or the weight of the past, which is some people label that as depression. And to really truly be in the moment. And there's an element of letting go as well. When you let go of things that you typically stress about and you let it go, it's going to be uncomfortable. But the moment you let it go, then suddenly there's a revelation of energies from molecules to wavelengths, all your whole body, all the atoms, everything is vibing because you're free, right? Of everything, of all the stress and concerns and all that. I wish I could tell my younger self that. Growing up, I had, issues with self-esteem, self-image, and certain things and all that kind of stuff. I wish I could go back and tell that. So then I'll be able to spend more quality time with my family. I lost my brother 2 years ago. I wish I could
I'm
spend
so
more time with my
sorry.
brother. Yeah, no, thank you. And just a lot of things, because sometimes we get clouded with all these things in front of us, the stress, and we keep it puts us in a very blind zone that we start to lose the vision, the direction of positivity and gratitude to love the people around us more. Because think of it, like we have what 90 years if we're lucky, 80, 70, this 75 is the average, or 78 or something like that. We got to live up more. We really got to. I mean, be realistic is what I'll say. Be realistic of what's happening, the circumstance. I'm not saying be happy at someone's grief. I'm not saying that. Being real about it, and then be positive, and then live life to the fullest, and be kind to everyone. If someone's going through a tough time, give them a leaning shoulder. Be compassionate, more empathy. It goes back to my thing with education. We got to put more into how to raise a proper person coming out of school. Right? I'd rather take a proper person and hire a proper person, a nice, kind person, than a person who, oh, I'm out of Yale, I'm the smartest guy here, hire me. Nah. I'm gonna pick the other person who treats everyone like a family, who's kind to everyone, who has the bigger heart. That's the only way. Yeah.
Yeah, and you make such a good point because now those of us who are in like leadership positions at work, everybody's talking about IQ versus EQ, right? And we're doing like these roundtable group interviews because we want to peer-to-peer interviews because we want to see how well of a team player you are, not just how good your grades were coming out of school. And sometimes we're not even looking at that. And it's really interesting because we were talking about on this last video I had uploaded, I had talked about how there was a nurse's aide who had gone all the way through to her master's degree, and now she is in a leadership position, and how just her knowledge, not just of the content, but her knowledge of our healthcare system and our patient demographic just really adds so much to the workplace. And this woman's young. She's maybe your age, maybe a little younger.
Hey.
And she's in a leadership position. And I'm like, wow, and what's making the workplace so great under her leadership is because she's been there, not because of how good her grades were, but just of how good of an aide she was and how great she was to the patient population. Like, and that's really one of the reasons why she has so much respect. But then it also was a huge lesson was, be careful how you treat people. Be careful, like you said, because, first she was your aide and now she's your boss. So,
Wow.
so maybe there's some things you might have wished you would have done different, right?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, but I like me, honestly, I'm so proud of her
Mm.
and like of her accomplishments and her story. And I was like, I say that a lot. Like, I really am proud of you. I'm so proud of you. She's like, oh, thank you so much, but it's not really a big deal, but I do still need for you to get your compliance paperwork in.
Hey, go boss.
Yeah,
Hey, boss.
yeah, I know, but I don't know. I love it. Like, and I do it now, like, because that used to be like the part I hated the most about the job was the paperwork, because nobody gets into healthcare to do paperwork. They get into healthcare for people.
Right on.
But now that I know she's watching, I take like a lot more pride in it, and I like, okay, and I am so proud of her,
Wow.
So, and a lot of the young ladies on this channel, I'm super proud of them. Like, I remember I told you about that story about the young lady in aerospace.
Right.
Yeah, that was like, oh my gosh. And I remember getting kind of choked up a little bit about when she was telling me about like her experience. And I'm like, and even more choked up when I shared it with my mom.
Oh.
So for you ladies, I'm going to tell you the story that I had shared with PositiveLeo was I told him about how the subscriber who had come to my channel by the name of Raven Smith had talked about her studying engineering and wanting to get into aerospace. So in like the late 60s, when my mom she didn't go to college, she went to trade school because she wanted to be a pilot. And the guidance counselor said, Black women can't fly planes or do anything with flight. And so then my mom ended up choosing something different. She ended up going into the chemistry industry, and she worked with Dow Chemical and some energy companies. So literally, she was one of like the hidden figures of chemistry, my mother. And there were so many Black women who were technicians and, analysts at that time who had these positions in the shadows. And then her hearing Raven's story was like, she's like, wow, now us hidden figures, we're out in the open and we can do anything. So just how proud I am of you ladies for that, like, for giving my mom that opportunity to hear that story. So I was like, wow. And I'm so grateful for you ladies on this channel who share your stories and your experience with each other, and especially too, like that one young lady and my husband's like, did you get a resume?
Did you?
No, I didn't. Because I think because of the part of the country she was in, I was explaining, like to my husband, like, well, she's in this particular part of the country, but if she would have ever, come to this part of the country, come to the Austin, she, my husband was like very impressed by that, because he was, and speaking of like younger people who will be your bosses, my husband was kind of saying how in IT, you're seeing like the people who are able to merge it with business are the ones who are coming into the leadership positions. So that, that was crazy, that, my husband was saying that. So it was like, maybe one day this young lady might be his boss.
There you go. Possibilities. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, now tell us a little bit about, you talked a little bit about what you've learned as a younger person and now looking back. So what are some of the things you find yourself on a day-to-day basis being most grateful for?
Wow. Well, first, thank you for sharing the story. Definitely appreciate that. What am I grateful for daily? There's a lot of things to be grateful for, right? We truly seek that. But the biggest one, I think, is, my mom and dad are in their 70s now, and I'm actually with them right now. They're here. And
Wow.
yeah, especially during this time, gotta support and be there for them, and just to wake up in the morning and see that they're fine, and have lunch together and have dinner together. No more appointments, right? No more appointments. And have meals together, crack some jokes together, Because growing up, I take certain things for granted. We always take something for granted, right? Whatever it is. And it's only now in my late 20s and early 30s that I begin to realize how important my mom and dad truly, 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 truly are, and what they have done for the family, what they have really, and that's one thing I wish I knew earlier when I was younger. And so to be with them, having lunch and dinner with them, cracking jokes and things like that has been a blessing. And I'm grateful to be with them because I know, they're in their 70s and, they're getting older and older and older. So that's what I'm really grateful for. And what else am I grateful for? There's so many things. The health of my family, other family members and friends. We're living in a very interesting time right now where the pandemic is doing its thing. And then being grateful for their health, being grateful that I'm alive, that I'm having an opportunity to make their day a better day or make my day a better day and impact people a little bit better with some positivity. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for everyone here on the show. I'm grateful for you, Denise, putting on together a very impactful YouTube channel, and the people here sharing their comments as well. And that at the end of the day, that we're one community trying to make a difference, just a little impact, kind of like a domino effect, right? And I'm grateful for that. That there's a lot of good people out there. I'm grateful for them as well, making a lot of differences. So sometimes some that we know and some that we don't know about. And I'm grateful to know, and here's my last grateful. I can go on and on all day, but the one thing I find that I'm grateful for is being able to take that one step where I know that I can make a little difference. Just going outside. I do this all the time. I would sit outside. Anyone that walks on my line of sight, I'm going to say hello to. And I can see, I just see some people like, who this guy? Why are you saying hi to me? Do I know him? They do those, that whole, like, and then they're like, and then the next time they come back, suddenly their hand starts to raise. And the third time, what's your name, man? Oh, my name is Vin. What's your name? Fourth time, fifth time, then we're like buddies. Wow. And I see that miracle, that little miracle every day. I'm grateful to look for those little miracles every day. You'll see it. You'll find it. You'll find a little flower growing out of the cement. What does that symbolize? That symbolizes trying hard, living life, doing the best you can, and there may be a miracle. If you look closely, you'll learn a lot from nature too. I remember just standing outside, walking, about to go up my step, and I saw some ants. This one ant was probably got stepped on. The other ant went over to that ant, picked up that ant, and carried him home.
Wow.
I was like, yo, just looking at that, just watching that, I just had to stand still and just watch. What does that speak for us? We could to take care of our brothers, take care of our sisters, take care of our family, right? Anyways, a lot to learn from a lot of things, and so I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool that you have your parents there with you. My parents they did retire close to me, but a little bit more into the suburbs because they were like, my dad kind of being a city guy his whole life, loved the idea of being out in the country and where he could have like a riding lawnmower and but yeah, my parents, they kind of party. Like they were telling me,
how about that?
Like they have like an RV and there's a bunch of other retired people that have RVs and they like meet at these places and
like meetups. Yeah.
I'm just full of other like retired people who are just like, I don't know, I guess partying,
enjoying life.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And I was like, wow.
Wait, how old are your parents?
Oh, they're in their 70s too. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. And they're still, they're still able to drive and have like a really, fruitful life. And of course, they can't do it to the extent they used to, but, because there are a lot less activities out there and they're a little bit further and few between, but, they'll go out to these events and almost everything's outdoors, because they're trying to keep everyone safe. But at the same time, they look at the low peak hours to whatever destination and then they go then. And I was like, wow. And so it was really cool how how they are just kind of having a good time. And as me and my spouse are kind of going through that transition of our kids getting older, like trying to figure out like, okay, what's our life now? You know, now we don't have these little, they're not little anymore. They can drive and they have jobs and, you know, they have friends and obligations. And like, you know, we're just kind of like looking at each other like, wow, what do we do now? You know? Yeah. Because I mean, you know, I'm grateful for my spouse who's a super hands-on dad. He's coached all of their sports, all of their little league. And now they're they're grown. Yeah, they're almost grown. And I'm like, wow, we gotta reconnect again. So I'm grateful for that experience.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful for, of course, the new job and the new transition in my career.
There you go. Okay.
And I'm grateful for this channel. And shout out to Call Me Coco. I'm grateful for Call Me Coco. Like, man,
Call Me Coco.
Yeah, she's like this content creator who's super, 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 super talented, like really talented. And she was like, "Oh,
cool.
I'm surprised that, you know, I saw that some famous people were watching my videos." I'm like, I'm surprised that you're surprised because I feel like yeah, because it's like I'll listen to different podcasts. I don't know what podcasts you listen to, but I listen to podcasts and I'm like, I'm paying for this subscription, but Call Me Coco is like way better than these people who I'm paying to listen to. She's a really good content creator. But
awesome.
Yeah, she's really good. So I mean, I'm grateful for that, you know. And I'm just kind of grateful for just this community on YouTube who's willing to teach each other things, from the ladies who are teaching hair and makeup tutorials to the ladies who are teaching like life skills. So I'm grateful for what this platform has created, you know.
It's an adventure, right? Yeah, for sure. She got the best laugh you ever heard in a ground.
Yeah, she does.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but she's got some pretty good content. But I mean, and also too, Framing Femininity, another content creator. She did my Shy Girls workshop.
Oh.
Yeah, cool. I'm so grateful she stepped forward to do that because I was always the kid in class who got in trouble for talking too much.
Yeah.
So I was grateful that somebody could bring like the shy girl perspective. So yeah. And there's a subscriber here that I'm grateful for. Conscious Queen.
Conscious Queen. Hey.
She was talking about
everyone knows everyone. It's like, hey.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking, she wrote in the comment section about what she wanted her major to be in. And I was like, I was just having this conversation with my daughter. And I kind of like made this whole video about it. Like, and I'm like, thank God she still subscribed and she didn't feel like I was her mom, like scolding her. She still hung around. She still hung around.
It's still Conscious Queen.
So it was really, so it was really, so those are the things that I'm grateful for. Yeah. And you know, like even like the small things.
You got to.
You know, like being able to wake up every morning, you know, that my body still works for the most part. So
there you go.
Yeah. But so we're coming up on an hour. So what are some of the things that when you make a YouTube video or when you do a collaboration, because you've done several across this platform, what are some of the things that you want the audience to take away?
Wow. I'll keep it simple. And it's through a question. And the question is, you know, why do we look outside for the things we truly want inside? You feel me? And if we know how it feels to be joyful, we know how it feels to be happy. We need to cultivate more of that and stop looking outside and look inside. So as I'm connecting with a lot of YouTubers around, the message is the same: to cultivate joy, to cultivate positivity and gratitude. We know all what it feels like. So to do that, share that with the people we love and we care about, and cultivate a community, a small community, and grow it into people that love and care more. You know, we got to think less and love more. Think less and be kind more. Kindfulness. How about that? I think that's a term people are using now, kindfulness. That's the biggest message. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the biggest message I have, to look inside for the truth and love more. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, ladies, definitely check out the Positive Leo, his YouTube channel. He's got some really great content. And I think,
Thank you.
yeah, one of the things that really made me was he's saying, We Shall Overcome, a song called We Shall Overcome in Vietnamese. And, you know, we know that song holds like a lot of, we know a song We Shall Overcome holds a lot of significance in our community. And the fact that he like went and he sang that in his mom's native language. And I was like, wow, that's really so important that we, you know, have those little common bonds. And thank you so much for your willingness to just share with the Mokomami audience just everything that you've learned in life, the good times and the bad. So I appreciate you just being vulnerable and positive with us. And hopefully we can take some of the tools that you've taught us to learn to be more positive. So thank you
Right on.
so much.
Well, thank you, Denise. Thanks goes back to you for inviting me on the show today, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to maybe in the future.
Yeah,
Some more.
absolutely. We definitely should do this again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.